publicly on behalf of the Board of Trustees, and certainly on my behalf, that business and schools cannot happen without the work of our leaders, and we believe that leadership does matter in our public school systems, and we know that our 9,000 students from which this district serves cannot have, that daily work cannot happen without your hands in it. So thank you so much. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and ourselves, we want to hand deliver you your resolution. Thank you. And all I can say is
mutual new friend, don't we?
Yes, we do. I don't have that many. Thank you.
Did I talk to you? Yeah, I was just having the guy was doing some window repair and I did all the custodians overnighting. Nobody opened the room and I was just trying to see if you're on campus. But you didn't answer. I knew you guys had it. I appreciate it.
Marathon run.
This morning. I'll get flag.
All right. Coupon. I like the coupon. I got one left.
Oh yeah.
Sure. You're in.
We are live streaming on Facebook, on Salina City Facebook. Woohoo! Yay! That's great.
Thank you very much, folks. Have a safe drive home. Now we're going to move on to the variable term waiver request. Action item B1.
There we're finishing action item and not reverting back to information. Or you want on action? We're going to continue with the action item?
We're on actions.
All right, got it. So, as I come before, well, good evening, Superintendent Martinez, Board President Kim, and members of the board. Get these charges, this is Superintendent of Human Resources. I'm coming before you tonight as I've done in the past. This time I have before you a variable term credential or agreement, and asking for your approval. This teacher is currently assigned. Currently assigned as a kindergarten teacher both in elementary school, and in order for her to continue in that role, we need this application to be approved and move forward to CTC. Yeah.
Just sort of just to educate me, what's the difference between a provisional intern permit and a variable term waiver?
Well, it's a different type of credential, if you will, because a provisional internship permit is not, the person here, the candidate, the teacher, does not have the criteria to serve in a provisional internship permit assignment. So this is almost like a last recourse, so the teachers can continue in the assignment. There's different levels of provisional internship permits, or there is a provisional internship, there's a short-term staff permit, and then now we're being faced with applying for the current short-term rate.
On a hierarchy, the provisional intern permit is up here. Then the next one is that
Short-term staff.
short-term, and then this one is this.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
qualify for,
Anything else, yes. After, it's
does
short
it
of.
pass the CBEST or what?
Yes, they passed that, but in terms of being fully credentialed, this is the only option to maintain employment in the district in the sites, the current assignment.
And they're working towards credential, correct?
Correct.
Now, is this the individual that's passed the CSET, two parts of the CSET? Am I correct?
So if you look at the actual application, it gives you all that information. This person, they're corrected, the person is short of becoming fully credentialed minus one section of the CSET. With that in place, then the individual will be fully credentialed. So that's why we're faced with this waiver.
So there's no law that stipulates that they must fully pass the CSET? 2 out of 3 is...
No, you have to have all 3 sections completed.
That's why we're waiting.
That's why we have a waiver in place.
I got it.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we accept the variable term waiver request application.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the variable term waiver request application. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
We have several items for action under educational services. Assistant Superintendent for Ed Services will present our first.
Good evening. I am bringing to you a contract to approve. It's a new vendor. This is to provide enrichment services to our after-school best program. Did you want to just talk about the vendor or the services to be provided, Christy? I'd like to introduce you to Christy Burns, who's our program manager for the best program.
Good evening, board members and audience. This is a contract with a new service provider for our program. They are providing services in the theater arts for our students in the after-school program at several schools across the district in the DUST program. And we are proposing to use, well, they will be providing services that's adopted. They did a very short-term contract as our first time using them to kind of try them out and see what we thought. And they were doing a wonderful job with our students, having students create their own little skits, put them in writing, act them out, and then video themselves. And they were able to present a finished product of a video of their own work to their parents and to others watching. It was pretty awesome to do this all on iPads. So it was a great opportunity for our students to experience something within the theater arts in the after-school program.
Any comments, questions from the public, the board?
Well, I'll move we approve the contract with the Moonlight Acting Studio.
So second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the contract service of Moonlight Acting Studio. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 5-0, motion passes.
Okay, Board and Superintendent. I bring before you next a revision to the adoption of our core math materials for action. In April of 2015, we adopted the Eureka Math program as our core program in English. At that time, the program had not yet become available in Spanish to be used in our dual immersion and alternative program classrooms. And at that time, we adopted Engage New York Spanish translations. As of now, we are beginning to receive the materials. The printer, the publisher rather, has translated them. They're in the printing process starting September 15th. We began to receive them. So I come to you to add the Spanish Eureka Math to our core math adoption now that they are in Spanish.
Questions on the board?
If you don't have any questions, I'll make a motion.
Well, anyone from the public have any comments or questions?
I wanted to just ask this question. So the Engage New York Spanish materials were not seamlessly aligned with the Eureka Math, is that correct? So these new materials, that's kind of one of the concerns I've heard from the teachers who teach in Spanish. This will fix that problem?
That is our dearest hope.
Thank you. Well, one teacher will be very happy.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
I make that so mean the motion.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to adopt I guess the Spanish component of the math. Yes, core math materials. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Okay. I now bring before you the first of 3 additional resolutions. This is to proclaim National Bullying Prevention Month. I'd like to introduce you to one of our latest administrators, Ingrid Herman, who is our administrator for school culture and climate.
Good evening, Ms. Martinez, President Kim, esteemed board members. This is the last so I can see. First of all, I'd just like to say I've had a really exciting month going out to our sites and seeing how well they're really implementing the OVEAS initiative that we have. The sites are doing wonderful things, really raising that awareness of our students of what bullying really looks like as a perpetrator as well as being the victim. So they're doing some great work with their practices, supporting our teachers. National Bullying Prevention Month is an opportunity to raise awareness on the emotional impact and negative effects bullying has on students. Through positive prevention practices in school settings such as the OVEAS Bullying Prevention Program and PBIS school-wide behavioral enforcement practices, a safe school environment that is free of intimidation and harassment is created. Whereas bullying has become an increasingly significant problem that seriously affects the well-being of students, and National Bullying Prevention Month is a campaign observed during the month of October to support the need to raise awareness of bullying and provide schools and communities with an opportunity to educate students, parents, and others about their role in bullying prevention. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Salinas City Elementary School District Board of Education does hereby adopt resolution number 161708 in support of National Bullying Prevention Month and encourages local schools and community stakeholders to develop, implement, and support policies and programs that foster positive, respectful school climate free from harassment, bullying, discrimination, and violence. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Herman. Questions, comments?
I just want to compliment the young lady and the team for this program. Because I remember when I used to be bullied, and I just ignored it. So moved. Resolution 171705.
Okay, one second. I have to ask for a public comment. Is anybody? Okay. All right, then there's a motion on the floor to adopt resolution 2016-17-08. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have to roll call.
Roll call.
Do we need a second?
Second?
Do you want a second?
Second, sure.
Roll call, please.
Roll call vote. President Kim?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
Our clerk Hoffman?
Yes.
And Trustee Estrada?
Yes.
Trustee Ish?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
The second resolution I bring to the board recognizes the last week of October as Red Ribbon Week. And I'm going to ask Hilda Huerta, our principal on special assignment for school improvement and categorical programs, to explain this project.
Good evening, President Kim, Superintendent Martinez, board members, and audience. I'm here to inform you that Red Ribbon Week is an alcohol, tobacco, and other drug and violence prevention awareness campaign observed annually in October in the United States. This year's theme is YOLO, Be Drug Free, which means you only live once. This campaign was initiated and continues to be led by the National Family Partnership. This organization provides planning, guides, and learning activities for schools and teachers to use During Red Ribbon Week, Salinas City Elementary School District has purchased with Tobacco Youth Prevention Education Program funds, $1,075 on red ribbons, which our red ribbon theme is Reach for the Stars, stay drug, alcohol, and tobacco free, to be distributed to students. So our resolution says, whereas with the 2016 You Only Live Once theme of YOLO, Be Drug Free, Red Ribbon Week touches the lives of people across the country and is the nation's oldest, largest drug prevention program. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Salinas City Elementary School District Board of Education adopts resolution number 16-1709 to proclaim the last week of October to be Red Ribbon Week in Salinas City School District, and encourages parents, students, schools, businesses, institutions, organizations, and individuals throughout the district to demonstrate their commitment to drug-free, healthy lifestyles. So I'm asking to be approved.
Questions, comments from the board? You only live once? That's what we used to say before, you know. Anyway, any comments from the public? No? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I have a motion on resolution 16-1709.
Okay, it's motion to approve resolution 16-1709. A second? We have a roll call?
Roll call vote. President Kim.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Yes.
Clerk Hoffman.
Yes.
Trustee Estrada.
Yes.
And Trustee Ish.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion is fine.
The third resolution I bring before you is Resolution 2016-17-05 in support of Proposition 58. Proposition 58 will allow districts to design instructional programs for English learners and actually all students to develop fluency and literacy in English as well as in other languages. It also requires school districts to solicit feedback from parents and community stakeholders during an annual planning process.
This resolution is being brought to the board by the request of Trustee Estrada, so I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
Maybe a comment at the end.
I would add that this proposition is supported by the California School Boards Association, the California Teachers Association, the California Federation of Teachers, and the California State PTA. So, in part, it reads, whereas all California school districts have the right to an equal, all school children have the right to an equal opportunity to advance and excel in all subjects, including the opportunity to develop fluency and literacy in the English language as well as other languages. It resolved that the Board of Education of the Salinas City Elementary School District supports Proposition 58, the California Learn, Language Education, Acquisition, and Readiness Now initiative.
Any comments? Questions? Public? Mr. Strada?
Well, things that have been spoken about before. You know, I really appreciate the fact that this proposition speaks to certain things that are important in the educational development of English language learners. For example, it prepares students more effectively for the future, for a global economy, you know, good paying jobs, etc. It also encourages multilingualism. You learn two languages, you want to learn more. And it encourages cultural interaction. Let me give you an example. I follow soccer. I follow this soccer player from Mexico named Chicharito. And he plays in Germany. Now, the only thing I ever really learned about Germany was negative. Adolf Hitler, World War I, World War II. And, you know, it just awakened my desire to learn more. In other words, it helps you to branch out and interact with other cultures. And I think that's a very, very good thing in a diverse society. you know, like you say, it has broad-based support. And I do believe that it's not just about bilingual education, but if we go in that direction, bilingual education is a method, just like SEI, just like English only. It is a method of learning English. Many people think it's Spanish only. It is a method of learning English. However, it's a method of learning English without losing your home language. And this is very important because there are studies, longitudinal studies, that tell us that an English learner who starts in kinder will by 5th or 6th grade have lost 50% of his home language. I think that is very sad because this is a valuable gift that our children bring from the home. We should not squander it. And that's pretty much it. I was an English learner. I had bilingual education. I studied. I came from as a first grader from Mexico, but I was literate in my first language, and that allowed me to attain the second language in a much stronger and faster way. And I believe it works. I believe we should always embrace diversity, multilingualism. It works, however, it works when it's tailored and planned properly. Everyone needs to be on board. Parents, the child, the site administrator, the superintendent, the board member. They all have to be on board. If one of them is weak, if one link is weak, it's bound to fail. And I believe we can make all of this work. And we can make it work for the betterment of all of our children in this district. And that's my spiel.
Yes, please go.
Good evening, Gabriela Perez, Bushmore. I'm definitely for multilingualism. I am from that nation that you just mentioned.
Yes.
Funny enough. And I just wanted to know, you mentioned a study that children lose their native language. My own children are trilingual, and they did not grow up speaking German. They were, I think, 4 and 6 or 5 and 7 when they started learning German. And they speak now German better than ever, but we don't even speak it at home. We only speak it when we go to Germany. And so my question is, I mean, from my personal experience, the children learn the language that you propagate with them or put them in situations where they can experience it. So I don't quite understand how they lose it and don't add others, like in the case of my own children. And then the other question that I had was, would that include offering other languages than Spanish?
I'm sorry.
Would this resolution include offering other languages than Spanish?
Absolutely. That's part of the language in the proposition. In other words, it opens up the door to multilingualism. It's not just about bilingual Spanish. Even though 80% of the English language learners in California are Spanish speakers, but it opens up the doors too. And the other thing is, the other 2 items that I think are important is that a district can tailor this law to fit its needs. The other thing is, if we find that it's not working, then legislative amendment. In other words, it's malleable. You can mold it as you go along. Legislative amendment will be stepped. They will use legislative amendment to fix it, and maybe even abrogate it. Am I correct on that, Lord? But I think it's high time we open the door. I do believe that Proposition 227, almost 20 years, did the English language learner a great disservice. Of the 1,000 districts that we have in California approximately, if you looked at the districts that were 50% English language learner and over, they were almost all under program improvement, with very few exceptions. Some of the exceptions were Sweetwater in Southern California, Chula Vista, and I would be so bold as to assume that the reason why they were the exception was because they had very, very strong bilingual programs. But I do believe this is good. I believe it opens the door to many good things, to a what I would consider a wonderful, inclusive society.
And again, I'd just like to remind everyone that the voters of California got to vote on this. I mean, that's true. Whether or not this board would recommend.
That's true, yes.
So, do we have a motion?
I move that we accept resolution 2016/17-05, Proposition 58, learn that we support this resolution.
So second.
Okay, it's motion and a second to adopt resolutions 2016-17-5 in support of Proposition 58. Roll call, please.
President Kim,
Yes.
Vice President Garcia,
Yes.
Clerk Hoffman,
Yes.
Trustee Estrada,
See,
and Trustee Ish.
Yes.
Motion passes. Yes, sir.
I fully support these resolutions as well, but last board meeting, I asked the board to, have a resolution to support Prop 55, and I just want to say that it would have been a nice gesture of public support for that. I'm sure, hopefully, personally you're supporting it, but it would have been a grand gesture. I'm kind of disappointed it wasn't included in this one.
Is there something we can do to turn this buzzing down? Thank you.
It's that speaker, microphone at the podium, sorry.
Is it round that thing better?
Along those lines, is there anything we can do besides a resolution to show our support for Prop 55? I know that, is there, I haven't been on this board long enough to know how, go through an election years now.
Or like like Trustee Estrada brought forward, the proposition asked to be put on the agenda. We should, somebody needed to request that so it could be added to the agenda.
Can we revise the agenda at this point? And no.
actually, according to Robert's Rules of Order, you can. It's doable.
Well, it's not Robert's Rules of Order, it's the Brown Act.
Brown.
Yeah, the agenda has to be published so that people will know the apprising we're going to be talking about as well. So we got to do 72 hours in advance.
I think an addition could have been done at the beginning of the meeting, but
Not during the meeting.
Yeah. We can say that we're in support of 55, but, we can just say that we weren't.
Yeah, that's all. Comments.
Again, this board is not in the politic business. If it has to do with education, yes, okay. But just plain political, we're here to do the district's business, okay? So, well, again, if you, let's say this, Ms. Rhodes, if you have a resolution that you would like us to adopt, if you could give us a draft, that'd be wonderful.
Too late, but thank you.
Too late?
Yeah.
Okay.
November 7th.
Oh, you're right, it's too late. Sorry about that. Okay. All right, we have one more. Mr. Ryan?
President Kim, trustees, Superintendent Martinez. I bring to you resolution number 2016/17-07. It's a resolution in support of Proposition 51, which is the Kindergarten through Community College Public Education Facilities Bond Act of 2016. I think you all know that the pot of money in Sacramento that funds modernization and new construction of public schools is empty. There's significant and serious discussion about moving to level 3 developer fees. Those are very unpopular because they impede development in our community. And the way to do that is to refill that pot. Prop 51 would do that. It is a $7 billion bond. It would be sold publicly and repaid by the state of California. Of the $7 billion, $3 billion would go for modernization and $3 billion for new construction of K-12 schools. Another $1 billion goes for career technical education and for charter schools. With that, I would tell you there's about 13 whereases. They're pretty short. And there's a therefore be it resolved. I'm happy to read the whole thing if you'd like.
Let's hear the therefore be it resolved part.
Well, thank you. So after 13 whereases, including that the California Constitution funds public education as a state responsibility in Article 9, Section 5, and 12 more whereases, now therefore be it resolved that the Salinas City Elementary School District supports Prop 51, the Kindergarten through Community College Public Education Facilities Bond Act of 2016.
Any questions, comments? Yes, Mr. Schwartz.
Jerry, how much of that are we? In other words, how does it favor us? Because I know that the proposition, when it comes to paying it back, the voter will be paying twice the amount because of the interest that will accumulate. In other words, from 9 million go to 17 or 18 billion, 9 billion to 18 billion that the voter will pay back.
Correct. Any of the bonds that are issued do have interest, and the investors expect a return on their investment. The question of where we would benefit from it is twofold. We don't have any new construction of any new schools. However, we have modernization projects we would like to do for which we do not have money. And as we generate some local funds, and we have an information item later that I'll talk to about that, we can recoup money we have spent that we haven't gotten bond money for and use that as a 40% and ask the state for a 60% match. It's a 60-40 state to local match to provide significant funds in the millions of dollars that would allow us to do modernization. So the benefit to us would be get in the queue, get in the line early, and get this money when it's put in that pot. Absent that, there's going to be no money in that pot until the next time around, the next election. And we'll go to level 3 developer fees, and that will impede local construction because of the cost.
Again, the voters will vote.
Yes.
Motion to approve this.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion is second to adopt the resolution in support of Proposition 51. Roll call, please.
President Kim,
Aye.
Vice President Garcia,
Yes.
and Clerk Hoffman,
Yes.
Trustee Estrada,
Yes.
Trustee Gish.
Yes.
On to D2. Credit cards.
Last month, I stood before you with an information item. That was the draft board policy 3314.1, payment for goods and services with credit cards. I now bring this back as an action item and would ask that you approve that draft board policy as presented last month. And so we can add it to board policy 3314. This codifies our use of credit cards with the significant controls to ensure that we remain legal, ethical, and especially legal.
Any questions or comments from the board? From the public, anybody? Okay. Do we have anyone who wants to move to adopt this board policy?
I do.
Motion, second?
I'll second.
Okay. Motion is second to adopt board policy 3314.1, payment for goods and services with credit cards. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Okay.
So now we're going to move to information.
So under B1 party report, Williams uniform complaints. Happy to say we had no complaints in the area of technical construction, teacher reconvening complaints, or facility conditions for the first part.
Can I ask a question? It's going back to this sidewalk situation. Wouldn't that be a complaint?
Would that be a complaint concerning facilities?
Yeah.
Is there a potential for it being a complaint?
Well, I don't know. I mean, wouldn't someone complain about it for us to act on it? Or, I mean, not necessarily.
Talking about,
Well, wouldn't the school complain?
The Williams uniform complaint
Has to be from the public.
No, there's an actual uniform complaint form that is filled out. So unless that is filled out, we're not reporting on that particular item in here for these, right?
Yeah, if you recall in the past, I did report out once a teacher had a concern about the state of the classroom. And,
Yes, and that you would, yeah.
Yes, and then I talked about process, so that was logged in as a complaint.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So what I report out now is for every quarter of what, in these areas, textbook, construction, teacher vacancies, or misassignments, and facilities did our department receive any complaints? So for the month of July through October, no complaints were not.
So then how do we know this was a situation? Nobody complained, you just saw it?
During our pre-Williams inspections, we identified 1,066 work orders to be completed to avoid having those complaints or have someone hurt and then have a complaint.
And
So
this is
before we get to the formal complaint of a Williams using the form, we fix them. And
Okay.
we did that with the asphalt area.
Okay, thank you.
So the Williams uniform complaints are regulated by the county office. So the county office is validating, this is a report actually we're bringing to the board as a result of Monterey County Office of Ed having looked at all of those items that we have listed and whether they've been completed or not, that in fact our HR records are verifying that teacher vacancy and misassignments do not occur. They're looking at those records, and that the sufficiency, when they come and do that at the beginning of the year, that is complete. So this is governed even higher than our district. It's governed from the county level.
Any questions? Comments from the public? Good word. Questions? Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so moving on to the next item, which is a second information item about interdistrict transfers. I know I have a presentation. I'm gonna get the pointer on the slide. As the presentation is prepared, I just want to note that this is in response to a request to report on interdistrict transfers. So on the various slides I have before you this evening, I'm going to explain everything from the definitions, per policy, regulations, and then what our data shows as far as transfers for this current year. So to begin with, we have various types of transfers, intra versus inter. And I'll be speaking about inter-district transfers. And that's just a basic definition. You know, it's an agreement between two districts. I don't know if this works. It doesn't. So between two districts where we're going to allow enrollment of somebody whose attendance area is a different district. So that's the definition. We have our own policy, 5117, that discuss that we have a policy and regulations to allow for attendance for various reasons in districts outside of the residence. So I'm going to speak to this one later. The regulations are the following. Our ARs, again, it's 5117, and this is where I wish I had the But there's 7 different reasons that we would approve an inter-district transfer, or are generally approved. This is our specific regulations for municipal elementary school district. And one is child care needs, so the person requesting it states that they're babysitting in another school district. That's one reason. Second is to keep families together. We may have a sibling attending another school, and in order to another school district, in order to maintain the families together, that's a reason. The third is to complete a school year. To allow a student to complete a school year when his parents or guardians have moved out. The fourth is to allow a student to graduate, or in our case is promote from 6th grade to middle school. And again, because they may be moving out, or they're now find themselves in another district of residence. The fifth is because the family knows that they're going to be moving to that school district, or they're moving into our school district at the beginning of the year. Have yet to move, but that's to try and have a seamless enrollment. That's the fifth one. Allows them to enter because they're going to be future students, actual students that attend within our district boundaries. The sixth is because they have an interest in a particular program. And then finally, if they want to change the school environment and they seek that district enrollment for a change in the environment. So those are the reasons, and those are our regulations. So now going back to the data, and it's very just basic. I combined all the information, renewals and new inter-district transfers for them. These are where we are in receipt. So we have a total of 229. And we have them coming from various school districts from the area. Alisal, Chular, and so forth, Santa Cruz. So these are the ones that are coming in and joining us as municipal elementary school students. And these are the schools that they're attending. So again, this is for the current school year. For Dia, we have 29, and you see a small amount in other schools, and a larger concentration at Lincoln with 94. Then second to that is Los Padres at 40, and the others are in the teens or a single digit. So that's what we received. So what we from going out, it's a total of 440 combined renewals and new. So where are they going to? And the first actually is a mistake. It's Alisal is not part of the ones that they're going to, but it is Carmel through Washington School District. So again, 440 minus our 229 that are coming in, which is a difference of 211 students. Now just go back to the other slide. I just thought this was interesting information regarding our homeless students. That, these, as far as inter and inter-district transfers, we're talking with a unique set of circumstances that do not necessarily apply to students. Once they're homeless, if they're in our district, they began in our district and they become homeless and are living in outside our district, they still have the option of continuing enrollment in our school. That is the information related to inter and inter, and I'm open for questions.
Well, I don't want to make a question, but I don't have a question, but I want to make a comment. One of the reasons I asked for this information was I suspected that we had a large number of students leaving the school district. And there was a comment that was brought up earlier in the school year, maybe during the summer, could have been at the end of last school year, regarding our dual immersion program and the fact that we've been advertising for it and doing different things like that. When you look at the numbers up there for Lincoln and for Dia, there are over 100 kids coming into those programs. I personally feel this is like a golden child for us. I think that the more we get the word out, the more we offer this. We're the only, well, MPUSD has one school, but we're the only district in the county that is offering something like this. And I personally feel very proud of it. I would like us to perhaps begin to recapture some of the kids that are trying to leave by promoting this. And it's been getting a lot of negative press, and I think this is a gift to not only our community but our district to have this. So I just wanted to go on record as saying that is why I asked for this information. I suspected all of this, and I really feel that this is an opportunity for this district to really move forward with something we can offer the county. And then I believe we would not only begin to receive more inter-district transfers, but possibly stop the flow of children out of the district if they could see this was really something. Because I know in many communities throughout the state that don't even have a large Hispanic population like we do, they offer dual immersion, and those programs are very difficult to get into. There's, you know, like waiting lists to get into them. So I just wanted to go on record as saying I think this is an opportunity for our district. And as a fiscal agent, that 221 children difference, or whatever that was, yeah, 211, that's a lot of money going out. And if we can find anything to recapture that, I feel instead of giving the dual immersion program all the negative press that groups in this community try to do, we ought to flip it and make it a hallmark of this district. That's all I want to say.
One of the things that I think this draws just curiosity points around the going out students. I'd be real curious of how many of them never even attended our district. How many, you know, are. The other part we don't have is an unknown number of how many of our, you know, students within our, or families within our boundaries have their children in private school, because that's not, they don't have to come for us, to us for the inter-district transfer to show that. But I'd be really curious around, when you say that we're gloss these kids, I'm not sure we gloss them, I'm not sure we ever had them. You know, so part of it is, you know, how do we convince our families that our schools are high quality schools, that we can really provide a quality education from wherever they're seeking, you know, to go to.
I think from the data, it goes to show it's the culture of the school. Look at Los Padres, 40 inter-district transfers into that school. Los Padres. There's a culture there that people want to be a part of. And I feel like that's what we need to start developing in our schools. Mission Park has a culture there. I think that's what, as a board and a community and a staff, we need to begin building those cultures in these schools so that the neighborhood children, the community, the people around there see our test scores may not be the highest, but our kids are the happiest. You know, they are doing great things. And that's just a feeling. That's just how I feel. That's it.
Mr. Rose.
A child who attends every one of the 180 days brings the district approximately $9,522.38 in base and LCAP dollars. Is that more, less, or the same as students who belong to our district?